Hi everyone. Week 6 video here. We're already pretty far into week 6, but I have a few tips and reminders for the public argument that I want to make you aware of. I have Nora here with me. There are people playing basketball across the street, and that is one of her least favorite things, the sound of it, so she's kind of scared and has sought comfort here, so here she is. Okay, week 6, we are working on the public argument. And then next week, week 7, we have our summative project, which is our portfolio. So a few things to note for this week. The public argument is the same topic that we've been working on, the same topic as your documented argument, as well as your annotated bibliography. So again, we're building from what we've established so far from the research that we've done. You'll notice a few things. The first is that this is just a one draft assignment, so there's no rough draft here. So keep that in mind. What you turn in on Sunday is the final draft, so be careful and edit very well, revise very well. The other thing to note is that it's the same topic, but it is a different essay. So the thing that should guide this essay is not an overview of the conversation, but instead your thoughts about the topic, your opinion in the conversation. So your argument drives this. Your argument should be the thesis, and then you support your claims in the thesis with evidence from the various sources that you have accessed for the documented argument and the annotated bibliography. So that's the second thing. The third thing is, even though this essay is driven by your thesis, your argument, you still need to consider the opposition. So if you think about somebody who's reasonable who's making a claim about a topic, they would likely say, well, some people say this for these reasons, and I can understand some of that, but really they're missing the big picture. Doing that small kind of move helps us to establish rapport with the audience. It helps them see, okay, they are listening to the other side of the conversation. They are acknowledging where other people have good points, even if they disagree. So still do some of those moves. You don't want to only cite sources that agree with you. However, be careful when you do that. Don't just kind of raise those points and move on, so the reader's kind of left to go, well, actually, that is a really good point. Raise those points, but then engage them. Tell readers why they're not totally convincing for you, or why ultimately they fall short. Okay, as you incorporate sources from the annotated bibliography, a few of you have asked me questions about how many you need to use. Do you need to use all of them? And my answer is you should use close to all of them. Aim for 6 to 8. Now that's giving you some leeway, and that's actually being kind of generous. 6 might not quite be enough. I might say 7 to 8, but I've said 6 to 8. So do your best to incorporate as many as you can, because that will help develop your own arguments and support your own arguments well. But you should use most of them. Okay. Remember as well, I've made this note on quite a few annotated bibliographies. She's being loud. 2 websites. You're allowed 2 websites, and then no magazines or newspaper articles. Now, I said it before, but the reason for that is their sources are protected. They don't have to disclose where they get the information. They can have anonymous informants, and because that information can't be fact-checked, because we can't get to the source of the information, that's why those are not considered academic scholarly sources. They can be unreliable. It could be somebody who said something, like an anonymous source could have very well said that, and that is true, but what the content of what they're saying might or might not be true, and it's hard to check that, to verify. So for that reason, search for scholarly sources. If you have mostly websites and magazine articles, you'll need to find some more, because your scholarly readers will want scholarly support for your claims. So look for those. Sorry. Okay, if I have okayed you using a magazine article, it has been under the condition that it's used anecdotally. If there's a story of somebody that you think would move your readers in a certain way, that's okay to use, but don't rely upon those for statistics. as evidence and support. So if you have questions about that, please let me know. I'm available and I'd love to talk, to reevaluate some sources if I need to, and so forth. Okay, for the public argument, so this is your chance. This is your time to speak your mind. But remember that you still need to do it in a reasonable, logical way that will reach your audience. Remember who your audience is. And remember that they might not agree with you. And if they don't agree with you, using inflammatory language is not helpful. It pushes people further away. It polarizes issues even more. So remember to appeal to your audience through establishing credibility, yourself as an expert and a reasonable voice in the conversation. Remember to appeal to their reason, their logic, and then finally remember to appeal to their emotion. So if we do all of those things in a well-balanced way, we can most effectively win over our audience members or invite them to change their minds or to act a certain way in response to what we're writing. Okay, 2 more notes on the public argument. So the first here is citations. Be sure that you are paraphrasing and summarizing mostly from your sources, but when you do quote, when you do find a piece of information from the original text that is just, you can't summarize it or paraphrase it and have it have the same impact, reserve quotes for those kinds of situations. And when you do use a quote, 2 things. Be sure that you cite the page number or the paragraph number. If it's a non-paginated source, then you need to cite the paragraph number. And sometimes that can be a total pain, but that's what you got to do. So for quotes, for all information from any source, you cite it with the author's last name and the date of publication. For quotes in particular, you must also cite the page number or the paragraph number. The other thing for quotes is that you must introduce the quote in some way. Don't just drop a quote in the middle of a paragraph with no lead in with your own words. If I said, introduce this in some way, lead readers into this quote, I'm asking you to put something of yourself in every sentence, unless it's a block quote, in which case there are different rules for that. But for every quote, integrate it seamlessly into your paragraph. So introduce it with a tagline with the author's name, so-and-so states, and then lead into your quote. It can be simple and brief, but every sentence, even with a quote, must have your own words in it. Okay. Finally, use Turnitin to help you catch similarities. So before, since again we're not doing a rough draft for the public argument, it's just a final draft, use Turnitin to help you catch any similarities for plagiarism. This is really, really important. So get your work done ahead of time, upload it so that you have time to upload it several times to catch and revise if you need to catch those similarities in plagiarism. Okay, final note, and this is just in general. On the annotated bibliographies and the documented arguments, I'm noticing that I'm making some of the same comments over and over again on the same different versions of the same draft. So I want to be sure that you're getting, opening, and reading my comments on your drafts. This will come back into play in the summative project in week 7. You're going to do more revisions on the final drafts you've turned in so far. So being able to access my comments and then make revisions is really vital to your success in week 7 as well. So if you have received a grade from me, but you don't see a document that's been uploaded, if you see the document but you're not able to see my comments, let me know. I need to know this so that I can get you the proper document or can figure out what technical issue is happening that you weren't able to see my comments. So either on Turnitin, in the Word documents I've given, if you can't see them, or if you just haven't accessed them, let me know. And if you haven't accessed them, do it, because I make comments on everything I turn back to you. So no grade has no explanation. And if you have questions, ask me. Okay. If you don't know, very last thing, if you don't know how to access my comments on Turnitin, or if you don't know how to use the similarities filter on Turnitin, let me know that too, and I can walk you through it. That way we're all on the same page going into week 7. Okay, that is all. I wish you luck in your revising this week. If you want to chat, let me know that as well. I'm available and we can set up a time. So until then, work hard, give yourself hopefully some time to rest, and enjoy Nora's snoring. Okay, see